and other books also. I have 40 PowerPoint presentation. Most of them are very educational, including this one, Quran and Science. So I'd like to share with you so that you can all benefit from these things. Jazakallah khair. This is Quran and this is Science. We're going to compare side by side. As I said, I have many books. These are 3 Quran, English, Spanish, and French. I have some copies available. I like to donate to the masjid, inshallah. If you can, management, contact me. I supply all over the country to the jails for the Muslims, free. I have English, Spanish, and French, and other Islamic books. These are comparative religion books. And some of the DVDs I have here, very popular. I have some display. And these are the presentations I have, Allah's Universe. You'll be surprised to know that there are many things in this space NASA is discovering as you speak, which were mentioned in the Quran. It is not amazing? How is it possible? Only possible from Allah, because He knows everything. Quran and Science is going to share with you. Women's rights, price of paradise, dawah to other faiths. I have a presentation. I present to churches. I can give it to you. You can present to anywhere. Love for the Prophet, prophets of the Quran, space benefits for the youngsters. Scholars of Islam from Bukhari to Ibn Kasir, each of the scholars, where they lived, where they traveled. Details are there. Effective dawah, Jerusalem. You can calculate good deeds and bad deeds. Tardigrade. These are all educational, very short, half an hour to 45 minutes, as you can see. And these are our contact numbers. I have training programs, like if you want to be a presenter, if you have a youth, young, you have a group here in this masjid, they want to be a presenter much better than me, we can train and give it to you, the programs you can present to anywhere, around the world. Comparative religion, teamwork, time compressor. How can you compress your time? Everybody has the same time. Like your 1 hour will be my 15 minutes. How about that? You can do much more within the same time. How to live a long life? 120 years. How about that? We have a program for that. Dawah, effective communication. When a speaker speaks, like I am speaking to you, only 7% is the information which you receive. 93% has to do with how I look, how I am dressed, all those details, how I pronounce and all those things. So I have a training program, how to be a good speaker. I did it in Chicago, I did it in New York. If you can organize in Dallas, we'll be happy to do that. Dawah workshop. When it comes to Quran, you can see that we are divided into different groups. One group say, I like to memorize the Quran. Another group say, I like to recite like Qari Abdul Basit. And that's it. After that, nothing happens. That is the target. And most of the non-Arabic speaking people, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, we don't speak Arabic. So what we do? We read occasionally, Surah Ikhlas, Surah Yasin. Somebody sick, somebody died, Ramadan. Other than that, we put in the shelf. We don't even know what is in the Quran. And there are Islamic scholars. They know Quran very well, but they do not know science, so they cannot compare. On the other hand, when you talk about algebra, geometry, navigation, philosophy, printing, medicine, these are the discoveries of the Muslims. When you talk about this thing, we feel so good. Islam is so great. Right? But what is happening today? Most of the modern scientific discoveries are being done by the non-Muslims. You can see around yourself all the discoveries. And the strange thing is, they are using our Quran. How about that? That is the method, that is the presentation today. That how is it? We read the same Quran. It is the non-Muslim. They are discovering so many things from the Quran, which was revealed 1,400 years ago. Quran is a book of science. It has many scientific terms. It has over 6,000 verses, more than 1,000 deal with science. Almost 20% of the Quran has to do with science. We have some Muslims, they said, I have nothing to do with science. You have many things to do with science because Allah already put 20% information in the Quran about science. Because it is the final revelation. It has a lot of scientific terms which you need today to understand the Quran. This Quran is valid today, it will be valid tomorrow till the last day of this world. That is the reason Allah put all the scientific information in the Quran. This gentleman, he is a French medical doctor, he used to live in Saudi Arabia. He wrote that book, Bible, Quran and Science. His mission was to find mistakes in the Quran. Is there any mistakes in the Quran? And at the end he said that I could not find a single error. He found mistakes in other books, but not in the Quran. This is Professor Keith Moore. He is at the University of Toronto. His research area is embryology, how a child grows in the womb of his mother. Like you all grow up in the mother's womb, how our cells multiply and grow, different parts gradually forms. That is his research area. And you know something, what he's saying? I found everything from Quran. How about that? The same Quran we are reading. And he wrote a book, it's called Developing Human. That book has been translated into 8 languages. That book is the textbook in medical school around the world. If you want to be a doctor, you have to know embryology. In order to learn embryology, you have to read that book. It is the textbook in medical school, first year, around the world. In that book, he has concluded that whatever I found in the Quran, which was revealed 1400 years ago, in the middle of a desert, to a person who could not read, who could not write, could not have come from any other source except the Creator. It is not possible, someone sitting in a desert, who could not write, who could not read even, to write those scientific information which you discover today. It has to be from the Creator. This is Professor Tejasan. He is at Chiang University, Thailand, Bangkok. He is the Dean of Medical Science. And his research area is pain receptors. As you can see in the verse 56, Surah Nisa, Allah mentioned about the taste of punishment. Yazukul azab. This is our skin, as you can see. On our skin, we have pain receptors like that. Hundreds of them, all over the body. And that's how you can feel pain. That is exactly what Allah is describing in the Quran about the pain. That the people of the hellfire, they will be punished again and again. How? Their skin will be removed and replaced with another layer of skin with more sensitive pain receptors. So the pain is more severe. That description in the Quran, on that verse, so much impressed about the scientific accuracy, that one verse of the Quran was sufficient for these scientists to accept the truth and become Muslim. He's still there. We have been reading the same Quran 1500 years. But he's a scientist. He knows exactly how pain works. And that was sufficient. And he became Muslim. So there are many, many instances in the Quran. You have to see, you have to find out those scientific terms, scientific symbols, scientific science. This is about astronomy. Allah mentioned about it in many places, as you can see. Az-Zumar, verse number 5, he talks about overlapping. We have a day into night, night into days. It gradually happens. Sun rises slowly, sun sets slowly, and transforms into other. That's what Allah is describing here. Overlapping, kawara. In the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about the shape of the earth. The earth is flattened on both poles like this. Geospherical. It is not completely circular. A particular word is called dahaha, whose shape is like the egg of an ostrich. That's how Allah is describing in that verse. This is the moon's surface. It has a fault line like this, all around the moon. As you know, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the early days of Makkah, the non-Muslim actually challenged him that if you are really the Prophet of Allah, show us some miracle. Show us that you can split the moon. As you know that he did split the moon. So a lot of people asking from NASA, because they went to moon for a couple of times, they drove cars, is there any evidence over there? Is there any fault line? Is it that fault line? Rocky belt. Unfortunately, there is no proof because they went only few times for a short time. They did not dig anything, so there is no conclusion from them. But we have this information. Allah mentioned in the Quran that He did split the moon. And when Prophet ﷺ pointed his finger like this, it split it into two pieces. And actually both pieces came down on the top of the two mountains in Saudi Arabia. And they stayed there for some time in the horizon. So people around the world definitely saw this thing, but in those days there was no communication. But people who live outside Makkah, like Medina, Taif, Tabuk, 300, 400, 500, 600 miles away from Makkah, they actually saw this thing. And when those people traveled to Makkah, as you know, people used to come to Makkah for business, buying and selling. So they give witness, yes, we saw this thing, it did happen. After a couple of hours, both pieces went back, and that is the moon we have today. So it is not only mentioned in the Quran, but also historical fact. This is the sun and the flame, as you can see. Flame is so deep, if you bring the earth, it will be inside the flame. Not only one earth, if you collect 45 earths, stack them vertically like tennis balls, all the 45 earths will be inside the flame of the sun. The depth of the flame is 365,000 miles. Earth is only 8,000 miles. Everything in this space is defined. We see millions and billions of stars, planets, so many things are there. Everything has a count. Allah says in Surah Yasin, verse number 40, everything has a count. They cannot overtake each other. They cannot hit each other. They have their own path. They are moving in a certain path and have their own orbit. In the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about it, how He makes day into night, night into days. Everything in this space has two motion. One is on its own axis, one is around something else. Like good example, moon rotates on its own axis every 25 days, slowly. Like Earth moves every 24 hours, it goes slowly, 25 days, and it takes 29 to 30 days to go around the Earth. That's why moon calendar month is always 29 days. Ramadan is always 29 or 30. It cannot be 28 or 31. This is our solar system. As you can see, each of the planet has their own orbit. Each of them is unique. Like Venus, good example, it's close to the sun. It moves in the opposite direction of the Earth. As you know, before the day of judgment, sun will rise from the west. It will reverse its rotation. It is already happening in Venus. It moves in the opposite direction. That is the Earth. We have a Mars. NASA has a mission to Mars. Actually, a lot of countries are trying to go to Mars. India is trying, China is trying, Tesla is trying, Amazon is trying, NASA also trying, because it has a lot of prospect. When there will be overpopulation on the Earth, people will go over there, people will migrate and live there in colonies. And it has a lot of opportunities. It has air, it has water, and other minerals. So other planets are there. Each of them is different, as you can see. When the light travels like this, it takes about 3 hours to cross our solar system. This is a very popular picture. In 1969, I was a student. Apollo 11, astronauts landed on the moon. And they are standing on the moon looking at the Earth. That's how the Earth looks like from moon. The distance is 250,000 miles. But if you travel far away from the Earth, very far, like this, 4 billion miles. If you look at the center of the circle, that dot is the Earth. It is so small you cannot even see yourself. That's where we live. So Allah's universe is very vast. And there are some asteroids. They have a belt where most of the asteroids are there. Most of the time when they come down, it is pulled by the gravity, and when it comes to the atmosphere, it is burned. Nothing reaches the Earth. That is one of the theories, that the dinosaurs were killed by the asteroids. You can find their bones in the museum, but you cannot find them. And this one of the asteroids survived in 2013. It came with a speed of 20 times the speed of light, sound. And when it comes to the atmosphere, it triggers so much energy. Scientists estimate that if we explode 30 nuclear bombs, whatever energy it will generate, with that kind of energy, it entered through the atmosphere and hit the ground in Siberia, like that, over that place. This is the size. This is less than 6 inches in size. Very small piece survived, and it entered with so much energy. Now, if the piece is much bigger, here is the simulated picture. If a piece, like scientists estimate 100 miles in diameter, just 100 miles, if it survives and if it hits, say, Pacific Ocean, this will happen. With less than a second, the whole earth will be transformed into a ball of fire. Everything will be completely gone. All the water of the Pacific Ocean will spill over, and it will burn continuously for billions of years. See, whole continent is gone in less than a second. If that 6 inches can do that, how about 100 miles in diameter can do? This is possible. Allah is saving us from those destructions. He is very powerful. As you can see, and the earth will be transformed into a ball of fire. And that's what happened to Mars. That's what scientists believe, that if you go to Mars, we can find our history. Whatever Earth has now, Mars had the same thing. But it was hit by asteroids. That's what they believe, scientists. So you can find our history over there. So let us estimate how big is the Earth, universe. How long is 1 billion light years? How big is this space? If you go around the Earth, you travel 25,000 miles. If the light goes around the Earth, it will travel 8 times in 1 second, like that. How about that? It travels very fast. In 1 second, so many miles. It's per minute, per hour, per day, per month, per year. That is called 1 light year. Who can count those numbers? How about easy one? I'm giving you easy one. How about that? An easiest one. So you can see when NASA finds an object, it is so many billion light years away from the Earth. So space is so vast. This is our sun, this is the Earth. Earth rotates on its own axis like this, 24 hours a day and night. It goes around the sun 365 days a year. In the same way, the solar system goes around the Milky Way like this. It is much faster, and it makes one turn 200 million years, as you can see. And this is the Milky Way where you belong. It has a spiral. One of the dot is our solar system. It is so tiny we cannot even find ourselves. We can only see through the Hubble telescope from a distance, but we have no technology to go close to it. This is Allah mentioned in the Quran. Sorry, let's go back. Allah mentioned in the Quran there are 7 heavens, one inside the other. We are in the first one, right? We have no idea how big is the first one. So how will you get out of the first one and see the second one? We don't have means, we don't have technology. We think we became too smart. We have a long way to go. One night, when the Prophet ﷺ was in Makkah, Angel Jibreel came that Allah invited you. He wants to talk with you. He wants to show you everything. So they traveled to Jerusalem, and from there they ascended the heavens like this. When they came to this 7th heaven boundary, it has a name in the Quran. That is the name. Angel Jibreel said, "This is my stop sign. I cannot go anymore. You have to go yourself." And he traveled. Allah showed him all the unknowns. What will happen in the grave? What will happen in the day of judgment? What is the reward of a good deed in the heaven? What is the punishment of a bad deed in the hellfire? He was shown all those things. And he was sent back to the earth. This is about physics. There are references of physics in the Quran. This is the scientist, Greek scientist who first proposed atomic theory. It has neutrons, protons, electrons. Modern science can even split an atom. Allah mentioned about it in the Quran. As you can see, he has a knowledge about everything, including what is inside an atom. This is our geography. This gentleman first predicted water cycle. Water continuously transforms from the rivers and ocean. It rises in the form of steam, cools down, forms cloud, and rains come down. That is the water cycle. It is happening continuously. Allah mentioned about the rain in the Quran 60 to 70 places. How we grow crops of different colors, how we benefit, different taste. They look different, different color, different taste. Even forget to give him thanks. How about that? And this is Surah Yasin 34, gardens of date, palms, and grapes. So many ways Allah is describing you and reminding you that He has done so many favors to you. This is our geology. We have mountains everywhere, many places, right? Allah says in the Quran, they have for a reason. And now verse number 6 and 7. Autad, they are holding the earth's surface like this as a form of wedge so that earth doesn't shake. This gentleman, he was the scientific advisor to President Carter. And he wrote a book, Earth, to describe about the mountains, and he used many Quranic verses. So scientists thought that this is something new. Actually, it is in the Quran for 1400 years. We have been reading the same Quran. He was able to figure it out and put in his book. And there are many places how Allah described about the mountains. And not only that, now scientists say wherever you have mountains on the top, we have at the bottom also, it goes deep into the earth's surface, as deep as 9 times, to hold the earth's surface in their places. This is our geography, oceanography. There are many places where there is salt water and sweet water. Ar-Rahman, verse number 19 and 20. Allah mentioned about it. This is another place. They do not mix. The water runs side by side for hundreds of miles, and they will not mix together. So this scientist, Dr. William Hay, he's the Dean of Marine Science, University of Colorado, Denver. He did research on those Quranic verses. He's the authority of these Quranic verses. And he's saying why they do not mix, at what condition they will mix, and so on. He wrote many technical papers. He's the authority. Like just to give an example, that is Mediterranean Sea, and this is the Atlantic Ocean. That is the Strait of Gibraltar. Water goes from one side to the other side, and they don't mix. They run of hundreds of miles like this. You see, that is the top side is the salt water, bottom is sweet water. And the scientists say that if there's salt density difference, one of the parameters is salt density. Difference is so small as like 4th order of decimals, like 0.0001 in that area, then they will break their barriers and join together. Until then, they will maintain their barriers, and so on. In the same way, Allah talks about the darkness. If you go deep into the water, it is darker and darker, gradually forms. Allah mentioned about it in Surah Nuh, verse number 40. Layers of darkness. Darkness gradually increases. Just to give an idea, light falls on the water, and it has 7 colors. Each light goes up to a certain depth and stops. Like good example, red light. It goes up to maximum 45 feet. So if you go deep into the water, ocean, and if you go, say, 50 feet, below 45 feet, and you have a cut, and you are bleeding red blood, but you will not see your red blood, because there is no red light over there. Each light stops. After 3,000 feet, it is complete darkness. Fish cannot even see itself. This is about biology. Everything living, 80% water. We are moving, so our body has 80% water. It's very important. Water is vital for our survival. Sometimes you feel sick because you don't have enough water in your system. So drink a lot of water, not Coca-Cola. How about that? And that is one of the missions. When NASA sends a probe to any planet, one of the missions is find water. If there is a water, there is a possibility of living things over there. Like Mars has water. They don't have rivers and ocean, but they have water gradually coming down from the slope. I have pictures, inshallah, I will show you some other time. But that's one of the prospects we have, that is the possibility of living over there. Allah mentioned about it in many places, from water every living thing, Al-Anbiya 30, Furqan 54, man from water. Allah is reminding in many places that the water is so vital. Every living, moving creature from water, Al-Nur 45. This is about botany. Allah made everything in pairs, as you can see. All the fruits, vegetables, all the things, everything has a pair. They are joined together and product is born. Taha, verse number 53. And another place, Ar-Rad, verse number 3. So that's why you have genetic engineering. Good example, Florida makes most of the oranges. 50, 60 years back, if the weather is bad over there, they used to have a frost bite. They used to lose their oranges, crops, damaged completely. Not anymore. Now they build same orange, so it can survive in the cold weather. And it is more tasteful. It has less seeds, those kind of things. You can genetically alter to make a better one. That is the beauty, because Allah put the information into the system. So you bisect and make a better one. Rice around the world has a shortage 50, 60 years back, not anymore. Today you have abundant rice everywhere. And so many things. Good example is this one. This is watermelon, right? How much is it in Texas, in dollars? $5, right? Shape is round, right? Is it not round? Watermelon here? But if you go to Japan, the same watermelon is cubical. And how much it costs? $200. How about that? Their refrigerator doesn't have a space. If you put a round one, you will lose a lot of void space. If you have a rectangular one, you save same space. So you can design anything, many things. It is possible because Allah put the information into the system. This is our geology. Animals and mountains, they live in communities. Allah mentioned in the Quran that they live in communities like us. And there are a lot of references. And this is about bee. Bee is very vital for our survival. They collect honey continuously. This scientist, French scientist, he did research on the communication and behavior of bees, and he got Nobel Prize. How about that? And he used many Quranic verses to understand how 100,000 bees work together to collect honey for the benefit of mankind. How they communicate. We don't communicate, we fight, right? We're good in fighting. They collect honey for the benefit of mankind. And it has a lot of benefits, like all the allergy sufferer, and many other application. Bee is very, very, very much important. And they have a distribution. Good example, every colony has one queen. What is their job? How about 2,000 eggs per day? Continuously she lays eggs. She is the largest in size. And there are soldiers, they're all female. Their number is 10 to 50,000. They do the housework, clean, bring foods, all these things. And there are male, only few of them, 100 to 500. Their job is mate and die. The moment you mate, you have to die. You cannot live on the earth. So most of the dead bees, if you see on the ground, are the male bees. Their job is, they have a short job, delivered, and they have to leave. That's how they work together to collect honey continuously. Similarly, the ants, they work very hard. Scientists sometimes say that they don't sleep. They continuously work. We sleep 6 to 8 hours, right? They are working continuously. And not only that, now scientists say closest to human are the ants. How about that? And there are many, many descriptions in the Quran in many places. Many similarities. They bury their dead body like we do. They have a sophisticated system of division of labors, supervisor, foreman, workers they have, like we have in a plant. So beautiful. They meet once in a while and chat. How about that? They work very hard. They said, okay, let us have some good time. Right? Is it not so beautiful? So I say, our youngsters, if you want to chat, come to the masjid. Don't chat on the computer with a stranger on the other side, you do not know what he's doing. We lost many children, you know that? Predators. So chat, come to the masjid. They have advanced method of communication among themselves. They hold regular markets to exchange goods. How about that? They gift each other, gift. How many of us gift to others? That was the habit of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Whenever he used to receive any gift, he used to give it away to his companions. Every companion used to see Prophet love me most. They have so much interaction. Some of the companions, some of the Sahabis could not sleep at night. They went after Isha to come for Fajr. They used to come in the middle of the night to see the Prophet. That, Ya Rasulullah, I cannot wait till Fajr. It is too long, too painful for me to wait till Fajr. I want to see you right now. We are so much attached. We are so much detached. Look at the condition of the Muslims around the world. We are so much divided. We have a lot of things to. These are the things Allah mentioned in the Quran for us to learn a lesson. And they store their grain in winter. This is what embryology is, a broad-based subject, big subject. This is DNA, this is the human egg. We are all grown from these eggs. Every body has 100 trillion cells organized into chromosomes, 23 pairs of chromosomes. There are a lot of description. What is DNA? DNA means it has all the information about you written down. Allah put all the information about you, how you will be born, how you will grow up in the mother's womb, all this information, like a blueprint. If you try to write down everything into the DNA, it will take 450,000 pages. How about that? Lot of information. No two DNA can ever be same. And modern day criminal investigation can be traced using the DNA. It is very common now for the police, for the FBI. If they find a trace of anything, they can find the person's identity. Very simple. Like this masjid door. They can find out how many people touched this door and what is their names. Everything can be found out using the DNA identification. In fact, they are also going back. Somebody was convicted 25 years back. Now the DNA tests show that he was innocent. He was wrongfully convicted. A lot of things can be identified. A lot of research are going on using stem cell research, prenatal diagnostics. These are the modern medical research going on using the DNA information. So we can benefit more. Good example, very common thing happening today, as you know, that heart transplant. Houston is the heart transplant headquarters. A lot of people has heart problem. You are waiting for a heart, another heart, right? Transplant, you cannot find it. So what they are doing, they have most of the time the valve of the heart is not working properly. It is not holding the pressure. So you can build your own heart with a new, what you call valve, and implant it. So you'll have another life with the new valve of the heart. Those are the possibilities because Allah put all the information into the DNA. This is a good example that Allah mentioned in Sajda, verse number 8, that how the two fluids will mix together and fertilize the egg. As you can see, that is the egg. Only one of them will enter and the egg will be fertilized. This is a very strange Quranic verse. Allah mentioned about Zulmatus Salasi, 3 walls of darkness like this. How these 3 walls are protecting the fetus. This scientist was able to describe and find out. You may know Arabic, but you will not be able to understand what Allah is saying here. It is scientific information. And there are many, many places in the Quran how He fashioned you in due proportions and so on. Every human being roughly has 200 body cells like this. Every body cell is different. They grow using the information from the DNA. And there is no confusion. Flawless. Every part of your body is fully customized. And there is continuous development of your body parts. When you are growing in the mother's womb, what happens? This is your heart development. It takes about 40 days to make your heart. And that's the first time the heart starts pumping. And the mother realized that you were there. Similarly, this is the face development. It takes 60 days to make your beautiful face. Have you ever looked at the mirror and thank Allah that, "Oh Allah, give me such a beautiful face. Nobody on the earth has one." It takes extra time to make your face. This is the eye development. Everyone has a beginning time and ending time. And this is the blood circulatory development. All fluid, eventually there are millions of lines where the blood is flowing. Scientists estimate that the total length of the blood vessels is about 24,000 miles. This heart is pumping from head to the toe 24,000 miles, like the circumference of the earth. And this is educational tool. This is the 23 pairs of chromosomes. The female has all same, XX. Only male has 22 same, only one pair is different, X and Y. See, this Y is responsible for the fetus to be a boy. So when the mixing of the fluids takes place, if it is XX, it is a girl. If it is XY, it is a boy. How about that? Many undeveloped countries, this is educational. Many undeveloped countries, Africa, India, and remote villages, if a mother has 2 girls or 3 girls, everybody starts blaming her. Maybe she cannot have a boy. It is not her fault. She is carrying 9 months. It is the husband's responsibility to deliver Y. If you cannot deliver Y, don't expect a son. They are being tortured, abused. So many things happen in this society for no fault of our own. So we should know about this thing. And Professor Keith Moore, he was given a lot of questions about embryology. He said everything correct. He said there are many questions in the many things in the Quran which he cannot answer because many things has not been discovered. In the same way, a fetus can hear after 24th week and he can see after 28th week, after a month almost. First he hears, then he sees. Allah mentioned in the Quran in many places, as you can see. First we hear, then we see. That's how it happens. That's how scientists say, that's how it works. So alhamdulillah, we are in this world for a short time, right? Very soon we will be leaving. We are in transition. After 100 years, all of us will be gone. So what can you do? How to benefit most from Allah? What can you do to become most valuable person? First of all, we should think about Allah. He's very powerful. He created everything just by saying the word, kun fayakun, be. And then we should think about Him. Mention all the signs Allah mentioned in the Quran to understand Him. He has 99 names. He can see everything. He can hear everything. He controls my life and death. You know, we celebrate birthday. Do we know when we'll be going? He knows. And we cannot go outside His boundary. We cannot hide from Him. So we are at His mercy every moment. If you want to see Allah's mercy, go to the hospital and see how people are suffering for little things. So many things we take it for granted. Heart is working, kidney is working, liver is working. And if something goes wrong, you are in the ICU. So these are the things He is doing for us. So what we should do? I am asking you to invest your time to understand the Quran. It is not just for reading and counting rewards. Invest your children to understand better Quran than we have, our generation. Many of us spend our life, half of our life, getting a status in this society, getting visa, getting green card, right? And we have a job now. Your children are born here. They're raised here. So invest. It is not that the non-Muslim will discover things from the Quran and you are on the sideline. And the goal is to obey Allah and follow His messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there is Shaitan working 24/7. He's not sleeping. When you are sleeping, he is working. So as you know, everything in the world is muqaddar. How much you will earn, how long you will live, everything is destined. This is a part of our belief. But life hereafter, everything is open. How bigger success you want from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How bigger paradise you want. There is no limit. So we should focus that how can I be more successful in the life hereafter? Who wants that higher success? Who wants to be more successful in the life hereafter? MashaAllah, one brother. How about that? Or some are sleeping maybe. So I want you to take this challenge that, okay, I want to be more successful over there forever. How it will happen? If you see complete Quran and Hadith, highest reward will be given to those people who are responsible to spread Islam. That is the highest paid job, spreading Islam, especially living in this country. Living in this country, this is the most fortunate country, is it not? Whole world wants to come here. We have a caravan coming in the southern part of the US, right? So people wants to come here for education, for good living, good income, good house. You already have, you brothers have one, right? Good house, good job, good profession. May Allah give barakat in your life. But you have the greatest opportunity to spread Islam also from here. The whole world is looking into this country. From fashion to technology to politics to arms, everything. So if you build this masjid, alhamdulillah, such a beautiful masjid, if you say, okay, this masjid should be the center for dawah for the whole world. It is not only limited to 5 times salat. In fact, as a Muslim, we don't need a masjid. You can pray anywhere, in the parking lot, in the backyard, right? Masjid should be the center for dawah, like the Prophet's masjid. It was very tiny. It was so small. When the companies used to make sajda, they used to have mud from the rainwater because there is no roof. But that masjid has so powerful, it has such a powerful light, it went to every part of the world. That should be the status of the masjid. This masjid should be center for dawah to spread Islam every part of the world. And then Allah will give you highest reward. That should be our legacy. When you leave from this earth, what you are living here? Couple of $1 million, couple of properties. Leave something which benefits mankind forever. Inshallah, we'll do that, and that will benefit for you, Sadaqah Jariyah. Just to give an idea, easy to difficult. Email is the easiest way, sharing information. You can send millions of people instantly with a click of a button, right? So I have that presentation. I'm going to give it to you. You just share to anybody, ask for Islamic information, which I present to churches, comparative religion. What are the things common between different religions, and that can benefit from it. And other things are there. I have a small package. It's a CD I developed. You can give it to any person, anytime, anywhere. And he'll be educated about Islam. You meet anybody anywhere, plane, train, anywhere you go, you meet anybody, and give it to him, let him check it out. I want to share with you. Just to give an example, this is, you are born here, you're going to live here. And if you're a good Muslim, you pray 5 times, you did whatever you did, everything stops as soon as you die. You cannot do anything. You cannot fast, you cannot pray, you cannot read Quran, right? And that is the reward level you have. On the other hand, a person giving dawah, like that, what happens to him? Even if he dies, his activities will benefit mankind forever. Think about Imam Bukhari. He collected hadith. His book, Sahih al-Bukhari, it has only 7,474 hadith out of 600,000 hadith. That book is so precious, till the last day of this world, no Muslim can learn a Sahih hadith without that book. That is his legacy. It is benefiting mankind forever. And the reward level is much higher, as you can see. Instead of 1, it is infinity. How about that? Everyone has this potential. In this world, everything is limited. Your income limited, your job limited, your life is limited, everything limited. Muqaddar. After life, nothing is limited. How much you want, how bigger paradise you want, how bigger success you want. Why should you settle for little things? Why settle for like $1 when Allah wants to give you unlimited dollar? So we should program ourselves so that we can do the work of dawah, especially from this beautiful masjid. And so I have that CD. It has PowerPoint presentation in English, Spanish, Arabic, and French. You can share it. French. Spanish population is the fastest growing population in this country. We have thousands of Spanish converts in the jail. So I supply Quran in the jail. So you can join us and you can benefit. I present to churches, universities, anywhere. Also, I have some testimonials about people who are famous in this society and they became Muslim. Why? So their testimonials are there in MP4 video or in audio we can hear in the car. Those are useful tools. Someone not a Muslim, when he sees these things, it makes independent impression about Islam. He knows everything bad about from the media. How can you counter them? Provide them with something, positive information about those people who are famous, like good example, like this. This is the list of the people. Like number 1, she was Miss Czechoslovakia. And she got a lot of attention, what do you call, beauty contest and so on. And eventually she became Muslim. 1 minute, you can hear her testimonials. Or you can see the testimonials. So those are very short, but the person who is not a Muslim will look into this audio and video, it will create some impression that why these people are so famous and what is the reason to become Muslim. So they have a story to tell. It may be a good impression to a starter kit, someone who is interacting with you and learn more about Islam. And you can give it away to anybody, anywhere, anytime, any place, as you can see. You don't have to wait for, like sometimes we have a yearly open house, right? Every masjid has. You don't have to wait for the year. You can do it every day, wherever you are. So I have this DVD. We have some couple of copies here, and that CD also. If you want, you can take one, but donate something so that you can benefit, like $20, $50, whatever you can. We use it for printing more, distribute more. Jazakallah khair for your time. Any questions? If not, I can show you what I have here.